Morning, guys. Louis at Defending Elvis. I've just woke up, got myself a cup of tea. Oh, that is lovely. So, going to do a quick video. Obviously, I'm called Defending Elvis. I'm going to keep bringing up topics that defend Elvis. Well, I just think Elvis has been unfairly treated. The Stanleys are going to come up on my topics because, unfortunately, they have repeatedly trashed Elvis. This particular one is David Stanley. I just don't understand it. I don't understand how someone that Elvis was so good to, basically taking David Stanley out of poverty, completely transforming his life when he was just a little boy with his two brothers, Ricky and Billy. I think they were 4, 7, and 6. Elvis gave these people a dream life, a dream life. Whether Elvis had a problem with prescription medication or not, whether Elvis lived the life of a rock star, had many girlfriends, whatever the negative things that keep getting brought up by people, why does it get brought up by friends and family? Why by someone who Elvis literally, in his own way, saved his life in many ways, David Stanley. I know David Stanley's gone on to try and help people that have drug problems and is a Christian man. But why in the name of Elvis? Why in the name of Elvis? Would Elvis like to be remembered based on his problem with prescription medication? Would Elvis be happy, David Stanley, the way that he constantly betrays him as a sick man that was drugged up? And the reason he was sick was because he was drugged up. This is the problem we have here. It's so unfair to Elvis. How would Elvis feel if he spoke to David Stanley? Would he thank him? Would he say, "Oh, thanks, Dave, for how you've treated me for the last 40 years, making money off my name, trashing my name, linking my name to drugs, to abuse, constantly, even accusing him of suicide, even saying many times Elvis killed himself." Remember, Lisa Marie was there on the day Elvis was found dead. Yeah. We all know there's no way Elvis would commit suicide. There's no way that Elvis would do anything like that. The fact that Lisa Marie was there in the house when Elvis had his heart attack confirms this to all of us. We know Elvis would never have wanted to leave his beautiful daughter, Lisa. So let's listen to this interview. Richie Boy, one of our subscribers, and my friend Richie Boy sent this to me. Let's just press play, and then we're going to butt in, say a few things, interrupt, critique it. We have to stop and start it because YouTube won't allow me to just play clips. So I do have to interrupt. Let's go, guys.
39 years ago today, the world changed for many of us when we heard the news that Elvis Presley had died. We relive that day now in this American moment.
So, a typical American news clip that is going to honor Elvis 39 years after, it seems fine. It's going to show some nice clips. Even Dave Stanley, he could have been part of this as his stepbrother, and praised Elvis and shared many lovely memories with us that he had with Elvis. David Stanley had some beautiful memories of growing up with Elvis. Elvis was so kind to David Stanley, his stepbrother, and really took it seriously that he had 3 stepbrothers. And he really wanted to look after these boys and bring them up well. So it's great that Dave Stanley is part of this until you start hearing the negative stuff that trashes his poor stepbrother Elvis.
August 16th, 1977 is a date forever remembered by music lovers throughout the world as the day the King died. Born a twin on January.
And we all remember where we were, don't we, guys? Please put it in the comments. Where were you on this day? I was camping with the Cub Scouts in England. I remember being told when I woke up, Elvis has died. Elvis has died. I was completely surprised and shocked. Couldn't believe it. No one could believe it.
January 8, 1935, in Tupelo, Mississippi, Elvis Aaron Presley's twin brother Jesse died at birth, leaving the future entertainment legend to grow up a single child. After making his first recording at age 19 for Sun Records, 1 year later, RCA bought his contract, and within 2 years, Elvis Presley emerged as an international recording sensation. But at age 22, young Elvis was drafted into the Army. He declined special service status and trained alongside regular soldiers at Fort Hood before joining the Army's 3rd Armored Division in Germany.
Remember, Elvis never wanted to be treated anything special. He wanted to be one of the boys, This says a lot about his character.
After 2 years of service and meeting his wife Priscilla, Sergeant Elvis Presley returned to civilian life.
Guys, the Priscilla topic is very complicated. We will discuss it. It wasn't straightforward. There's a possibility Elvis didn't want to get married, felt forced into marriage. But that is for another topic on another day. Okay, guys?
And went on to star in 33 films and break records for his television specials and appearances. But concerts were always his first love.
It's my favorite part of the business, is a live concert.
80,000.
Just want to say in that little clip, you can tell Elvis isn't in top health condition there. Slightly slurry. He looks puffy. He looks tired. Elvis was sick, guys. Elvis was very sick. We have proved it. We've looked at Sally Hoddle's book, Destined to Die Young, Dr. Forrest Tennant's book, The Strange Saga of Elvis Presley, Strange Medical Saga of Elvis Presley. Now, we have clearly proved Elvis was very unwell, really, really needed his prescription medication, turned to his doctors because he was so desperately unwell, and he had been unwell for years, yeah? So, I take offense when people just call him a druggie, a junkie, just who wanted to just get stoned, get high, because it is so far from the truth. This man was in serious pain, could not sleep, had the worst colon problems you could ever have, and many other health problems. His body was letting him down. He had inherited some genetic health problems as well, and he was overworked. Yeah, so let's just keep going, guys.
People lined the streets as a parade of white limousines made their way to Graceland to pay their final respects. Today, Graceland remains the 2nd most visited home in America.
Now, don't forget, the whole world mourned Elvis's death. Memphis, they say 80,000 people came out for Elvis's funeral. Even on the day it was announced that Elvis had died, there were tens of thousands of people outside Graceland. Elvis was truly loved, truly loved. No matter how much negative bullshit was said about him, Elvis has always been loved and still is loved to this day. But we are here at Defending Elvis to try and put the wrongs to rights. This is our thing here, Team Elvis, Defending Elvis. We have a movement to try and show the world that Elvis has been so unfairly portrayed, and we want the world to know the truth. So when we hear a family member like David Stanley trash his own stepbrother on national TV to millions of people, we're horrified by it. We're shocked by it. Elvis doesn't deserve it. Elvis deserves better.
After the White House, you're watching An American Moment on Newsmax TV.
For more, we welcome David Stanley, who became the stepbrother of Elvis when Presley's father married his mother. David's also the author of the new book, My Brother Elvis.
Okay, so I straight away can spot that this is all about money. This is about promoting his book, selling his book. Money, 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 money. Too many have trashed Elvis for money, even close family members. Ex-wife. Why? Why? These people loved Elvis. Elvis loved them. Elvis trusted them. This is a perfect opportunity for David Stanley to praise his stepbrother who had been so kind to him. This is his chance to tell the world what a beautiful man Elvis was. Instead, he trashes him. You'll see as the interview goes on, there's no need for this. There is no need for this. Just to make money, he trashes it. He can still have wrote a book, beautiful book telling lots of lovely stories, but why the drug stuff? Why the drug stuff? We don't need to hear it, especially from a family member, a stepbrother.
Released worldwide today. He joins us from Newsmax New York. And David, we really appreciate your time tonight on Newsmax Prime.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
David, you write in your book that Elvis gave you an ominous warning 2 days before his death 39 years ago. Could you tell?
So the twist just gets very negative straight away. The first question he asks is just horrible, horrible. Puts the whole interview on a different setting, changes the tone of the interview.
Tell us about that.
Well, it was August 14th, was the last time I saw Elvis alive, and I had walked into his room. I was going out of town for a couple of days before a tour on the 16th that we opened in Portland, Maine. And I walked in to tell Elvis that, I was leaving for a couple of days. Do you need anything? And when I walked in, he was sitting on his bed, and he was reading his Bible, and he looked at me and he said, "David, who am I?"
Sat on his bed reading his Bible. Doesn't that say everything about the kind of man Elvis was? Elvis took his Bible everywhere. Elvis loved his Bible. He would pray every night. He would get on his knees and pray every night. This is the kind of man Elvis was.
Which I thought was a very puzzling question. I said, "Well, you're Elvis, you're the king." And he held his Bible up and said, "No, there's only one king." He said, "Come over here and sit and talk to me." So I sat down on the bed with him and we talked about his father.
So you see a picture there of Elvis, a typical example. Elvis is stood there with Priscilla just after the divorce. He's putting on a nice image for the public that him and Priscilla are still friends after the divorce, which I don't believe. That's a complicated story. We can discuss it on another topic. But Priscilla was unfaithful to Elvis during the marriage at least twice, guys. So this is how unfair things are to Elvis. Everyone blames Elvis for the unfaithfulness, but Priscilla was also unfaithful. Yes, Elvis was unfaithful, but so was Priscilla during the marriage. This is how unfair things are to Elvis.
Father Vernon, my mother Dee, they were going through a separation. They were about to get a divorce. And he said, "What do you think about it?" And I said, "Elvis, I'm with you. What they do is their business and their situations are their situations. I'm with you."
Now remember, Dee Stanley went on to trash Elvis in the most disgusting way. She said the most disgusting things about Elvis and his mother Gladys. So even Dee Stanley is guilty of anything to make money. Anything to make money.
He looked at me and he just said, "David, I love you." And I said, "I love you too." And he stood up and he gave me a hug. And he gave me this really long hug, and he broke out of the embrace and said, "David, I want you to know something. The next time you see me, we'll be on a higher place in a different plane." I didn't know what that meant at the time. I looked over at his books. Elvis read a lot of spiritual books, and he always had, 20, 30 books next to his bed. I thought he had been reading something, and I was puzzled by what he had said to me. And I looked back at him and I said, "No, the next plane you'll be on is to Portland, Maine on the 16th. And he said, "The 16th, David." And I turned and walked out of the room. And as I walked out, I just felt, what a very odd, strange thing for him to say to me. 2 days later, on the 16th, back at Graceland, when I walked into his bathroom after several others had...
1 second, guys, before he starts talking about Elvis on the floor, just after he died. I don't know what to believe with Dave Stanley. He's just told the story, Elvis's last words to him. I can't trust David Stanley. I don't know if that actually happened. He could be making it up. We don't know, do we, guys? We don't know. He has changed his story over the years. So now he goes on to talk about discovering Elvis dead. Now remember, this is a short news interview to honor the 39th anniversary of the death of Elvis. It should be a nice, sweet interview, praising Elvis, talking about how gifted he was, a Christian man, how he loved his gospel music, how he loved his fans, how he loved being Elvis Presley. Instead, they just talk about his death They talk about how he was found dead, and it gets worse and worse. David Stanley spoils an opportunity to praise his stepbrother that had been so kind to him.
Had conversed on the scene, we discovered Elvis's lifeless body, and I thought to myself, was he trying to say goodbye? Was he trying to, let me know that, higher place in a different plane? And, as a result of that, I believe Elvis, died tragically of a self-induced drug overdose.
And this is horrific. This really upsets me. He's now telling the world that Elvis killed himself. Millions would have watched this. This would have gone around the world, this little clip. He's telling the world Elvis killed himself. Self-induced overdose. Could you imagine Lisa Marie watching this? Lisa Marie would have been watching this, guys. Heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Poor Lisa Marie is watching the stepbrother of her father trash her father in public to the world. And in the end, didn't he come out and say that it wasn't true, that it never happened, that he didn't commit suicide? It's so unfair, so cruel to Elvis. Elvis was so kind to these three boys. Elvis did love the stepbrothers. So wrong on so many levels.
Why now to share the account, to write this book, David?
I'll answer that. For money. For money. Now, he'll try and play the savior. Oh, I want to help people with drug problems. This is for money, guys. To promote the book. This is for fame. There is a certain level of fame and attention you get talking about growing up with Elvis. That's what this is about. And that's what makes this so wrong. This man grew up with Elvis at Graceland, in his other homes as well. Elvis eventually employed these people. These people were supposed to be looking after Elvis when he died. These people were very close and around Elvis. These people had problems with drugs, with heroin, with cocaine. These people were partying around Elvis when Elvis was very sick and supposed to be being looked after by these people. There were other people as well. I question the people that were close to Elvis and around Elvis when he died.
Well, to be honest with you, I wrote the book 11 years ago. I mean, people are always asking me about Elvis Presley and my relationship to him. I was so close to him, spent 17 years growing up with him. Although he was 20 years older, he was big brother, father figure, and mentor. And so
So he was big brother, father figure, and mentor. And this is how you crash him.
11 years ago, I sat down and decided to write a real, honest, straightforward book about the last days of Elvis Presley. I lived at Graceland for 17 years, and the first 12 years were family fun, backlots of movie studios, recording studios, holidays, Christmases, Thanksgiving, Priscilla, Lisa, the family was like any other family. We just so happened to have a big house in Memphis, Tennessee. But
sounds amazing, doesn't it, guys? Happened to have a big house in Memphis, Tennessee. He talks about his lovely memories. Christmases together, families together, family meals together. Could you imagine the life that Dave had? I think all of us would dream of a life like that. And this is the thanks Dave gives his stepbrother.
when I went to work for Elvis in '72, I discovered the other side of Elvis that had an addiction to prescription medications. And unfortunately, that prescription medication addiction cost him his life. I say that to say this.
Why is there no mention of how sick Elvis was? Elvis was really unwell. We've proved it, guys. Very, very sick. Elvis gives this man a job in 1972 to help him. And he spends this whole interview reminding us constantly that Elvis was a druggie, an addict, and he just wanted to get high and stoned off his face.
Yes. So many people ask me, tell me about Elvis. And I said, well, the world's not ready for everything about Elvis. And so 11 years ago, cathartically, I wrote the book just to clear my consciousness about my life with him.
Well, to make money, come on, guys, because you can write a book in different ways. You don't have to write a book and keep bringing up the drug thing. Is there any mention that Elvis was very sick? I don't think so. And if there is not enough mention of it.
And convey the message of the dangers of prescription drug abuse. So let's run forward back.
So he's trying to be the Samaritan. Oh, look, in the name of Elvis, I'm going to help people with drug problems, with drug abuse. In the name of Elvis, his stepbrother. But the reality is he's doing it for money, to make money, for fame. for his 15 minutes of fame. Everything we see on this program is just opinions for entertainment purposes. We're just having a discussion this morning so we can comment and share our thoughts on this interview.
Back in February and March, I said, now's the time to tell the story. We've lost Elvis, we've lost Michael, and in the middle of editing the book, we lost Prince, and so two kings and a prince. After Elvis died, I became a speaker against prescription drug abuse, or drug abuse, period, for that matter. Elvis.
He was paid heavily for. This has always been about money with Dave Stanley. If you truly love someone, if you truly love your stepbrother, you don't spend your life going around different news shows in different countries for money, trashing your stepbrother, trashing him. Almost no mention of the fact that he was so sick.
His death had a profound effect on my life. And so I decided to release this book to convey a message of the dangers of prescription drug medications. Unfortunately, if it can happen to Elvis, which it did, it can happen to anyone. So I decided to pub the book. Today it comes out. You know,
today it comes out. I decided to publish a book so I can make more money, be on TV, be famous at the expense of my stepbrother, Elvis.
Excited about today, tonight, the book's out. And it's a rock and roll story. It's sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's the craziness of a 17, 18, 19-year-old kid on the road with a king. But it's the message of prescription drug abuse, even in Elvis Presley's case, went from use to abuse and cost him his life.
Well, let me
Again, a reminder that Elvis committed suicide, which he didn't, by the way. This is a blatant lie. So, come on, guys, you must see through this. Do you see through this? You must do. How unfair is it? Still no mention of the fact that Elvis was very, very sick.
bring up a four-letter word, F-A-M-E, fame. Was there ever a way that Elvis separated from the fame, or was that a burden he carried?
You mean, you know, dealing with the fan clubs? Is
right,
that what you're
dealing
saying?
with the fame and every move being scrutinized, no real private time, or do I have a misimpression of that?
Well, you know, Elvis, back in the 70s, it wasn't like it is today. I mean, we didn't have social media. We didn't have every single thing you did was, you know, broadcasted. Elvis was a very private person, and his image was one of purity. I mean, Elvis loved his mom. He went to the service. He served his country. His songs were clean. His movies were G-rated. So Elvis had this wholesome G-rated image. But there were two bodyguards that worked for Elvis that Elvis fired in the last year of his life.
So, yeah, the G-rated image is the true Elvis. The true Elvis. He really was like that. Really was a wholesome person, a grounded, good-hearted, kind, well-brought-up boy, a good Christian man. He really was. So what if he had a girlfriend? So what? Doesn't make him a bad person. Why is Elvis spoken about in such a derogatory way? And he was just a lovely, kind person that wanted to help everyone. So I think now he may go on to try and defend the book, Elvis, What Happened. Obviously, we have strong views about this book, Elvis, What Happened. We feel that the three Memphis Mafia members betrayed Elvis, Red West, Sonny West, Red West. So let's see what Dave has to say.
Who wrote a book called Elvis What Happened, was challenging Elvis and his drug medication abuse, his temper and certain things. This book came out 10 days before he passed away. When that book came out, Elvis realized that there was chinks in the armor and the world was about to know. And so he was afraid that his fans would think less of him, which was totally the opposite. Fans love Elvis.
Again, betrayed by the Memphis Mafia, his friends, Red West, Sonny West, Dave Peddler, close friends. Red and Sonny basically grew up with him. Yes, of course, Elvis didn't want his image to be damaged because Elvis was really sick, taking prescription medication because he was in pain, couldn't sleep, in so much discomfort, overworked. So the book basically called him a druggie, said he was addict and wanted to just get stoned. Why did these three people write a book about Elvis? They're friends that they grew up with, spent decades with him. Red and Sonny spent decades with Elvis, growing up with him. Elvis was so kind to Red and Sonny. This book is a disgrace. This book should never have been written.
Presley. They always will love Elvis. They always should love Elvis. The great legacy, the music, the entertainer, the giver that Elvis was. But he was afraid if they found out the realities of his life within the structure of medication abuse, that they might think less.
So, yeah, the realities of his life. Yeah, remember, guys, we have proved Elvis was very, very sick and needed his prescription medication. Let me just get the books. So here you go, guys. 2 books that very clearly say Elvis was very sick. The Strange Medical Saga of Elvis Presley. A very detailed book with proper medical documents. Another book, Sally Hall's book, Destined to Die Young. Very detailed books that have a lot of research have gone into those books. That is why Elvis was so heavily prescribed with medication. No mention of it. With Dave Stanley, no mention of it. With the book Elvis, What Happened, no mention of him being sick, in pain, couldn't sleep, literally couldn't sleep, and many more horrific things that were wrong with Elvis's health. Yeah, he's just called a druggie, an addict, a junkie.
And so when that book came out, that was a nail in the coffin for Elvis. And to walk out on that stage before.
See, what I would have liked David to do is to be upset with these people for betraying Elvis, crashing Elvis, for writing a tell-all book just for money. Remember, the book Elvis, What Happened was written for money, no other reason.
That audience, already 255 pounds, he was overweight, already slurring his words, already sweating profusely.
Well, there's many now that say that he wasn't as heavy as that it was exaggerated.
Already showing signs of drug abuse and addiction to prescribed medications. That was a very difficult thing for him to do, and I think that's one of the reasons that on that day, August 16th, 39 years ago today, Elvis died of a self-induced drug overdose.
That's the 3rd time he said it, a self-induced drug overdose. Again, no mention of the fact that Elvis was sick. No mention of it. Nothing, not once, by his own stepbrother.
Let me ask you this, and we've only got about a minute for the last word on this. You want others to understand how pernicious, how dangerous drug abuse of any kind is, but especially prescription drugs, correct?
So he's the savior, he's the Samaritan, he's the guy trying to do good, yeah? All in the name of Elvis, junkie. Get it, guys? Do you not see through that? Is that a man defending his stepbrother? Remember the kind of life that Dave Stanley has lived just because he grew up with Elvis. And after Elvis died, he spent his whole life living off the Presley name. His thanks is to again and again and again say that Elvis committed suicide, bearing in mind when Elvis was found dead, he was in the same home as Lisa Marie, his daughter, was there. Yeah. So he's saying that Elvis committed suicide whilst his daughter was in the bedroom next door. Come on, guys. Does anyone even believe that for a second? And that's his stepbrother that grew up with him. Remember, Elvis more or less took him out of an orphanage, more or less. Him and his 2 brothers, when they were 4, 6, and 7, invited them to Graceland, showered them with gifts, gave them a beautiful upbringing, a Christian upbringing, did everything for these 3 boys that he possibly could. Elvis truly loved these boys, and this is how he's thanked by one of them, Dave Stanley. Yeah, Dave Stanley has changed the story a bit now. He's at Westgate at the moment, isn't he, guys? Again, even at Westgate, still discusses the prescription medication problems that Elvis had. But he does give the impression that Elvis was just a junkie. It's not a very nice word to use, is it? Junkie, druggie. We don't want to hear it, do we? But the bottom line is, in this interview, 3 times he has said Elvis died from a self-induced overdose, drug overdose. Not one mention of the fact that Elvis is sick. Now, we showed an interview here with the co-star, yeah? Suzanne Lee, beautiful co-star of Elvis from the film Paradise, Hawaii, on an interview with Terry Wogan, where Terry Wogan is asking about the problem with prescription medication, and David Stanley wants to tell the world that Elvis is a junkie, and Suzanne Lee jumps in and defends Elvis defends Elvis, stops him in his tracks from trashing Elvis. In this interview, there's no one to jump in and stop it happening. It's obvious the interviewer wants to hear the trash stories because it gets more views. But I'm jumping in now, just like Suzanne Lee did. She's so beautiful. She's so lovely. We honour Suzanne Lee as an Elvis defender. Please go and watch the clip on YouTube, guys. Suzanne Lee with Terry Wogan, the British interviewer. She stands up against Dave Stanley, puts him in his place. I'm so proud of Suzanne Lee. Unfortunately, here, there's no one standing up to Dave Stanley other than we are. We at Defending Elvis, we at Team Elvis, me, Louis. It's a disgrace. Dave Stanley, it's a disgrace what you've done. How you've lived your life trashing Elvis. I know you've changed your story. It is a disgrace. There's no way Elvis committed suicide. There's no way Elvis would commit suicide whilst his daughter was at the house. No way. Everyone knows this. You have been very cruel to Elvis. In the name of drugs, helping people with a drug problem, in the name of making money from your book, even now you're trying to make money from Elvis. It's so wrong. Shame on you for treating Elvis the way you have. You owe him. He transformed your life. He took you from poverty, and you have thanked him again and again and again by trashing his image and reputation. You have seriously damaged his image and reputation. Whether you like to hear it or not, it's the truth. So we at Team Elvis, we have to be forgiving. Elvis would want us to forgive. Elvis would want us to forgive. So we don't do this kind of program from any hate. There's no hate from me towards Dave Stanley. I have to forgive Dave. I know that Elvis would forgive Dave. We, the fans, have to find a place to forgive Dave because that's what Elvis would want. Yeah, a very decent, good Christian man who did love Dave Stanley. Yeah, so I'm sorry, but shame on you. And the fact is, you did these kind of interviews again and again and again for years and years and years. And ultimately, why? For fame, for attention, for money. You're no Samaritan. I'm not falling for this thing that you do this to help people with a drug problem. I'm not falling for it. This is about fame, attention, and money. You need to apologise for your behaviour. That's how I feel. You may say, Louis, you're just a fan. It's none of your business. The fans were very important to Elvis. I make it my business because I think it's disgusting the way you've treated him. Not even one mention of the fact that he was so sick. So wrong. Now, everything on here is just an opinion, a discussion. The whole point of my programs is to discuss things and share opinions with Team Elvis, with Elvis fans. I invite Elvis fans to leave their comments on this show we've done this morning. Tell me how you feel. How do you feel about Dave's treatment of Elvis's stepbrother? How do you feel about the way he shames and trashes Elvis again and again and has been doing it for decades? None of what I say here is fact. It's just opinions that we discuss. Okay, guys, I'll just play this out. But I hope you understand what we're doing here. What this should have been an anniversary program to mark the 39th anniversary of Elvis's death. They could have spent the whole program praising Elvis, talking about his gift of music, his movies, his personality, his gospel music, the Christian man. Instead, it's all about trashing Elvis for views. For views. Remember, the ratings are higher when you trash Elvis on these TV programs around the world.
That's correct. Well, 78 people will die today of prescription drug abuse. 15 million people are affected by prescription drug abuse in America today. We've got to put regulations on doctors giving it out. They gave Elvis 10,000 pills in the last 6 months of his life. Elvis's addiction was driven by the doctors over.
That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. 10,000 pills. Does anyone believe that? I've seen him say 5,000 pills. It changes his story. It's ridiculous. Honestly, why? Why do these people do this?
Over prescription. Now, the doctors didn't kill Elvis. Management didn't kill Elvis. I didn't kill Elvis. Elvis made a decision. But people have to understand something. The realities of drug abuse within the structure of a prescribed scenario leads to addiction that goes beyond comprehension.
Now, just, you know, remember the fans speak to me a lot. I have a lot of important researchers speak to me. They're very concerned about all the people around Elvis when he died. When he died, what went on? What drugs were given to Elvis? Seriously, guys, it's not straightforward. It's very concerning. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. I wish I could be a fly on the wall. These people that were supposed to be looking after Elvis, Ricky and Dave, have admitted they were on heroin, on coke, partying hard around Elvis when he was sick in bed. So we're all very concerned of what went on. We'll never know the truth, guys. We're never going to know the truth, what went on. All we can do is be fans and defend Elvis. We defend Elvis.
What can in fact lead to death. So, you know, the message of the book, crazy rock and roll book. You'll read some cool stuff about Elvis and great things about Elvis. But the tragedy was the loss of Elvis at 42 years ago, 39 years ago today.
And David Stanley, we appreciate your time sharing this story. Again, the name of the book is My Brother Elvis, released worldwide today, the 39th anniversary of the passing of the King. David Stanley tonight from Newsmax, New York. Thank you so much. That will do it for tonight. Obviously, a lot of stories we will continue to monitor, and we will.
So it's shameful. It's shameful. A big promotion of the book at the end. You know, he went on to make a DVD as well, I think, or the DVD might have already been made at this point. Come on, guys. Elvis comes along, takes these three boys out of poverty, and look how he's been thanked. Thankfully, Billy Stanley has made good. He's released a beautiful book. Let me just get the book. Now, Billy Stanley has released a beautiful book that defends Elvis, a book that shows the Christian man, the true man. Billy Stanley has apologized for any wrongdoing in the past. This is a lovely book. I recommend this book. I've read this book. It's a beautiful book. Elvis speaks to you through this book. The Christian man, the true man, the real Elvis, not this fake warped version that is discussed again and again and again by his own stepbrothers. Because Ricky has also said some pretty disgusting things about poor Elvis. Elvis deserves better, guys. He deserves better. This isn't right. I'm not going to whitewash Elvis. Elvis may have overprescribed medication, overtaken it, may have abused it a bit. But when you're desperate and you're in pain and you're suffering and you can't go to the toilet and you can't sleep and you turn to your doctor for help, what does your doctor do? Gives you medication, prescription medication. Elvis was really, really, really in pain. So Elvis really needed help from these tablets. He hoped the medication may fix him. Elvis got iller and iller and iller in the last 10 years of his life. It was a snowball effect. What would you do if you were in serious pain, guys? You turn to your doctor. I won't whitewash Elvis. He made mistakes, but this is not right. This was supposed to be a celebration. Instead, it was an excuse to trash Elvis on TV to millions of people by his own stepbrother. Could you imagine the type of life Dave Stanley would have had if Dee Stanley hadn't have met Vernon Presley? If Elvis hadn't come along and saved the day with Billy, with Rick and Dave Stanley. He invites them into his home, Gracelands. Do you imagine how these boys felt going from an orphanage-style lifestyle to living at Graceland? How amazing their life became. And their thanks, two of them at least, Ricky and Dave, to trash Elvis on and off for decades. Decades. This is so wrong. And in the name of drugs, in the name of helping people with a drug problem. Such bullshit. Such bullshit. So wrong. So wrong. Shame on these people. Yeah. So, I don't know what to say, guys. I'm gutted when I watch things like this. Could you imagine the damage this did to Elvis's image and reputation around the world? And this may have been repeated in tabloids and magazines, and this was done while Lisa Marie Presley was still alive. She had to watch this. Elvis's own family trashing him. Unfortunately, many people are close to Elvis have trashed him in his family and his ex-wife, Priscilla Presley, and many other people. But is thousands of things out there of people praising Elvis, showing how lovely Elvis was. I can mention hundreds of things to you guys where people talk about the true man, Elvis, the real man, not all this fake news, fake Elvis news, I call it. So pretty upsetting, guys, but this is how we defend. This is how we defend. Wouldn't it be nice if people like Dave Stanley and Rick, I mean, obviously Rick's passed away, but people like Dave Stanley just came out and apologized and stopped trying to make money off Elvis in a way where they keep bringing up the problem with prescription medication again and again and again. Do you understand that, guys? Even the book, Elvis, What Happened, my book's falling apart, with Red West, Sonny West, Dave Hepler. Wouldn't it have been nice if that whole book that really upset Elvis, Close Friends, had been a nice book, just saying nice things, discussing how great Elvis was? Elvis would have loved that. Could you imagine how Elvis feels about all these people that have shamed him, that have shared secret, private details, some of them not even true? In fact, many of the things that are said about Elvis are blatant lies, almost, and never mention that Elvis was sick. How would Elvis feel about his treatment at the hands of these people? So-called friends, family, ex-wife. Get it, guys? Memphis Mafia. It's not right. It's not right. We stand up as a team, Team Elvis, to defend. So thanks to Richie Boy for sending me this clip. We come together every day on live streams and we defend Elvis because he deserves it. We defend Lisa Marie. We defend the bloodline. Could you imagine how these kind of programs make Riley, Finley and Harper feel? Elvis's grandkids, Lisa's children. Unfortunately, Lisa Marie Presley had to put up with this kind of crap for decades and decades, which is why she cut herself away from these people. She cut herself off from these people. She was so upset with how they had trashed her poor father, Elvis Presley. Elvis deserves better. He didn't deserve any of this. He didn't deserve any of this. Poor man from Tupelo, Christian man who loved everyone, helped everyone, wanted to change the world, wanted to help the world. Anyone that came into contact with Elvis, he would help them. How many people buy you a car, a house? Have you ever heard of anyone doing that? Elvis would buy a complete stranger a car. He would buy his cook a house. His close friends, he would buy them a house. Have you ever heard of anyone else doing that? He's the only star that I've ever known that helped people again and again and again, even complete strangers, just from the love in his heart. That's the true Elvis. I'll buy you a house. I'll buy you a car. I don't even know you, but I'll still do it anyway. That's Elvis Presley. A very, very golden, beautiful heart Elvis had. He was beautiful inside and out. And he is so unfairly portrayed. You know, I love that Ginger Alden tells the world Elvis has been very unfairly portrayed, even by his own family members, his own ex-wife. Okay, guys, thanks for listening, and we're going to carry on defending. That's what we do. I'm going to post this on a video on our Defending Elvis YouTube channel in a way so that you guys can interact and comment. How do you feel, guys, about all of this? How do you feel about Elvis being trashed again and again and again by many people that were close to him for money? Are you concerned about the things that happened to Elvis around the time of his death? The people that were close to him, that were supposed to be helping him, looking after him. Are you concerned about their actions? Do you know anything that happened? Put it in the comments. Your comments are very, very important, guys. Very, very important. So please leave things in the comments. Now, I must end this by saying we have to forgive. There's no hate here. I don't hate these people. We have to forgive them. Elvis would forgive them. We come from love. We come on behalf of Elvis as fans. So there's no anger in me. I'm confused. I'm trying to understand it, but no anger. I have to forgive these people. That's my nature. I'm not capable of hate. So apologies would be great. Wouldn't it be great if the people that had wronged Elvis apologized, showed regret? Okay, guys, all the best. I'm going to upload this now so we can interact and comment together. This will be interacted so we can do a live commenting together, me and Team Elvis and Elvis fans around the world. See you soon, guys.